Daniel, 42. I never considered myself the loudest person in the room. Quiet, methodical, that was me. People called me trustworthy, steady, reliable. For 20 years, that had been enough to build a reputation that carried weight without requiring a single boast. My family, they seemed to understand this, or at least I thought they did. I was wrong. It started subtly. My cousins, the younger ones, would casually drop my name during family gatherings. "Daniel will handle it," they'd say. "Daniel already approved this." At first, I corrected them quietly, a polite shake of the head, a smile that softened my refusal. I assumed it was harmless. By the time I realized it wasn't, it was everywhere. Loans taken in my credibility. Promises made to strangers on my behalf. Business emails signed, on behalf of Daniel's group, as though I'd blessed them. My name had become a shield for them, a ticket to respect they hadn't earned. The first notice arrived at my office like a slap I hadn't seen coming. An overdue payment for a loan I had never authorized, a contract I had never signed. I didn't panic. I documented everything. Every message, every misuse, every lie tied to my name. The meticulous habit of record-keeping, once a quirk of mine, suddenly became my lifeline. Christmas approached, and with it, the family gathering I dreaded. They expected me to smooth things over as I always had. I was calm, almost eerily so, but this time I had a plan. I arrived at my cousin's house carrying nothing but a folder. Inside were every email, text, signed document, and record of misuse. I also had my lawyer on call. They greeted me warmly, oblivious to the storm I carried. "Daniel, we were hopping," one cousin began. I held up the folder. "No need to hope anymore," I said. The room shifted instantly. A cousin smirked, thinking I'd play along, thinking I'd laugh it off as I always had. But I didn't. I laid out the evidence. One by one, I pointed to the breaches, the misuse, the lies. I didn't shout. I didn't accuse. I simply showed them what had been done in my name, and that from now on there would be consequences. I could see it hitting them, the weight of their own actions, reflected in meticulous documentation. They expected me to destroy them, to seek revenge. I didn't. I stopped being their cover. I withdrew my name, my credibility, my silent approval. The businesses, the deals, the networks they had relied upon crumbled without me behind them. They called, panicked, confused, frustrated, but no one dared challenge the evidence. I had been precise. I had been careful. Weeks passed and the pattern became clearer. They would test boundaries like children at the edge of a pool. They sent messages hinting, asking, begging for small favors. I responded once politely, refusing. I never explained. I never begged. The silence, now my weapon, did more than words could. For the first time, I realized what my family had been expecting all along: compliance. The illusion that I would always shield them, always smooth over, always sacrifice for them without question. They had built an empire on my discretion, and I had quietly allowed it, but no longer. Then came the small confrontations. A cousin sent an email, thinly veiled threats wrapped in familial language. "We were just trying to help," they wrote. I didn't reply. My lawyer advised silence. My instincts agreed. Another day, a younger cousin called, desperate to get my approval for a project. I heard the tremor in their voice. The shock of realizing the safety net was gone. I said calmly, "You always had the chance to build on your own merits. You chose convenience instead." No shouting, no arguments, just the truth. The effect was dramatic. They realized slowly that my silence was a wall, not a pause. No one could touch my reputation anymore. No one could borrow my credibility as if it were theirs. Even family gatherings became different. Where once they had assumed my tacit approval for every whim, I now arrived, present but separate. Conversations didn't include the assumed authority I'd once lent. Requests were polite, carefully phrased, but the weight was gone. I had taken my name back. The first Christmas after I drew the line was surreal. No more subtle exploitation. No whispered expectations. My name had been restored to me, and for the first time in years, the holiday table felt quiet in the right way. There was space, and that space belonged to me. Weeks later, I received an apology, not from the people who had misused me, but from those who had been collateral damage. My younger cousins, who admitted privately how unfair their actions had been. Not everyone apologized, not everyone understood, but I didn't need universal acknowledgement. The final realization hit me one morning while walking in the park alone. I had spent decades being careful, being reliable, being the quiet support for others. Now I understood. Reliability didn't mean surrender. Quiet didn't mean weakness. Trust didn't mean unlimited use. I sat on a bench watching leaves swirl around the feet of joggers and dogs, and I finally felt the weight lift. They had been using me, yes, but I had chosen when to stop it. That choice was mine, and it was powerful. I didn't rebuild bridges. I didn't apologize for defending myself. I just existed, separate, free, unborrowed. Sometimes family is not about blood. It's about boundaries. It's about protecting your own life and your own peace. And in reclaiming my name, I reclaimed both. I still see them at gatherings from a distance, their voices trying to weave me back into expectations. I smile politely, nod, respond when needed. But the weight, the hidden manipulation, gone. I am Daniel, and my name belongs to me. And the quiet satisfaction of watching them realize that, priceless.